Hello everyone, my name is Mrs. Anthony and I teach 5th grade at Pass Road Elementary in Gulfport School District. Today we are going to be analyzing the physical properties of matter. So I hope you're ready to learn. Let's get started. Now before I get into any lesson, I always like to address my standards and my essential question. Remember, the essential question is what we want to keep in our minds and be able to answer at the end of the lesson. So my standards that we'll be going over today, P.5.5A.2-3, so 2 standards. And our essential question is how can we use physical properties to distinguish between different types of matter? So again, we're going to be talking about the physical properties of matter today. So before we can get into analyzing those properties, I want to go over and review exactly what physical properties are. So let's watch a quick video.
Let's say my friend and I have just gone to a birthday party, and we each got a gift bag that's full of candy. And my friend makes me an offer, one that I can't refuse. She says I can have any one piece of candy in her bag, but I can only take it without looking. Now, say I'm into gummy frogs. They're my thing. That's what I want. Fortunately, I have a secret. A science secret. When I reach into the bag, I can use the properties of the candy to help me guess. If I want a gummy frog, I'm gonna feel around for something that's kind of small, squishy, and, frog-shaped. But how else can we use this idea? I mean, in other non-candy related contexts. Does it work on school supplies? Breakfast cereals? Hardware? I mean, what exactly can we tell about an unknown substance by its properties? We already know that a substance is matter that's made of one kind of atom or molecule, and that has specific properties, and that some substances are elements, which means they can't be broken down into other substances through physical changes or chemical reactions. We also know that we can group substances and elements by their properties, like we found that all of the metal things from the bottom of my backpack were shiny and attracted to a magnet. So, metals have high reflectivity and magnetivity. What else do we know about metals? If we think back to our lunch investigation, we know that metals are good conductors of heat and electricity, and metals are often silver or gray in color. Let's try another substance. What are some properties of gases? Let's think way back to some of our first videos. When we talked about gases, we learned that gases have no definite size or shape. The molecules in a gas spread out to fill the container they're in. Gases are usually transparent, too. Light passes through them. If we think about some of the gases we know and love, like carbon dioxide and oxygen, we find that they have these properties. Both of these gases fill up the space they're in and are transparent. Gases and metals are just 2 examples of groups of substances that have specific properties. And because the properties are pretty specific, they come in handy when we're trying to find out about an unknown substance. So, let's get the investigation rolling. Say we have 2 unknown substances. Both look the same, kind of whitish and powdery. How can we tell them apart? Now would be the time to go over a truly important scientific rule. No tasting. Ever. Right, since that's out, what should we do? Think back to our picnic. Remember what we tried to do with sand and with sugar? We tried to see which dissolved in water. So if we took a spoonful of each unknown substance and tried to dissolve it, the one that dissolved would be the sugar. One of the properties of sugar is that it dissolves in water. Sand, as anyone who's been in the ocean will tell you, does not dissolve in water. It just gets into our bathing suits. But now it's time to level up. This time we'll look at 2 mystery objects that are totally hidden from view. Our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to find out which one is metal. If we use our sense of touch, we can tell that object A is not very flexible. It doesn't flex or give when I press it. Object B, on the other hand, is pretty malleable. It squishes when I touch it. Ew. So far, we can make the guess that A is metal, but in science, the more evidence, the better, because malleability, or the ability to change shape, is actually a property of some softer metals. So we need more data. Let's bring in our trusty magnet. As you can probably see, because I can't, object A seems to be attracted to the magnet, while B isn't. So, object A has the properties of being hard and being attracted to the magnet. So we're going to guess that it's the metal. And we're right. Object A is a big old nail and B is, hey, My gummy frog. So, substances and elements have specific properties, and because of this, we can use properties like hardness, malleability, or magnetism to tell something about, or even to identify, unknown substances. It doesn't matter if it's candy or handy hardware. And I'm out of gummy frogs.
Now, I love that video because she showed us specific examples of her using the physical properties of matter to compare two objects. So, as she showed us, you can use touch, you can use magnetism, hardness, malleability. All of these things are physical properties. So, as a recap, what are physical properties? Physical properties are characteristics, traits, or qualities that can be observed or measured without changing the composition of the substance. So when she was analyzing those objects, she didn't change anything about them, but she used their physical properties to determine what they were. So now that we have seen what physical properties are, we saw someone else analyzing physical properties of matter, we're going to do the same thing ourselves. Now, we're going to use some pretty basic objects today that we don't even need to have directly in front of us to observe their physical properties. So, object 1, a glass of water. What color is water? Well, water doesn't really have a color, so we're just going to say that it's clear. No real color. Its shape. Well, if you remember, water or liquid doesn't have its own shape. It always takes the shape of its container. So we're going to say has no definite shape. The state of matter, that's another physical property. We know that this is a liquid. And the texture of water. Water doesn't really have a texture. I guess it's kind of smooth if you're drinking it, but we're going to say no texture. Now let's move on to a rubber ball. So the color of this rubber ball, well, that's easy to see. It is red. Its shape, it is a spherical shape. So we're just going to say it's in the shape of a sphere. Or you can say, some may say a circle. The state of matter, is it a solid, liquid, or gas? We know that this is a solid. And the texture. Think about, how does a rubber ball feel when you touch it? They usually feel pretty smooth. All right, let's move on to a cell phone. Everyone loves their cell phones. Well, the color of this phone, it's an iPhone, looks like, and I would say that it's black. Its shape, it is shaped like a rectangle. I'm going to go a little bit out of the lines here. That's okay. Its state of matter, cell phones are definitely not liquids, definitely not gases, so it must be a solid. And this texture, I'd also say that phones are pretty smooth. They're hard, so we're going to say hard and smooth. All right, so we have just analyzed the physical properties, not all of them, but some of the physical properties of these forms of matter, these objects. So we went over the terms, we went over what physical properties are, we've analyzed them, and I hope you guys have learned a lot today, and I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Thank you.